Welcome to SVG TV News for Tuesday, February 7th, 2023. I am Rochelle Batis with the details. Vincentians will not see a VAT-free shopping day as what was offered in Barbados on December 12th last year. Responding to a suggestion for a VAT-free day in SVG on radio on Sunday, Prime Minister Dr. Ralph Gonsalves makes it clear that he is not in support of such an initiative.
No, I'm not going to any VAT-free day. It's just not sensible to deal with it that way. So I hear them kind of gimmick talk. No, I'm not going there. The other suggestion is very good. Look, the way VAT is managed, it is extremely difficult to do it. I see people talk about in Barbados, but if they look at the conditions and the restrictions under which it is being done, and everybody wants to imitate everybody else, but not looking at what happens, is 2 months from the middle of September, middle of November to the middle of January. Over 20,000 containers, barrels, and so forth, of all sorts of things, boxes and so on, which came in duty free. You know, the other suggestions I agree with, but I'm not supporting any VAT-free day.
In regards to the issue of dredging of sand south of Argyle, in which the company responsible for the port modernization project is seeking a permit to take 1.17 million cubic meters of sand from an area 850 yards south of and 550 yards from the Argyle International Airport, PM Gonsalves says he will move expeditiously in coming to a conclusion on whether to allow Acorn Grouping Inc. to proceed with the dredging process. However, he will not do so without all of the relevant information and advice.
Because at the end of the day, the cabinet is going to rely on the Prime Minister for his mature reflection and judgment on this issue. And I wouldn't be swayed by any politics this way or that way. Always in the overall interest of St. Vincent and the Grenadines in my mind.
And PM Gonsalves left the state today for Venezuela on his first official visit as pro tempore president of the Community of Latin America and the Caribbean, CELAC. While there, Dr. Gonsalves is scheduled to meet with President Nicolas Maduro as well as the Venezuela foreign minister to discuss some bilateral issues as well as CELAC matters. On radio today, the Prime Minister said his meeting with President Maduro will seek to advance a proposal for the development of a Caribbean Institute of Science, Knowledge and Technology for the 33-member CELAC grouping.
On the 1st of February, he delivered a presidential address during the inauguration of a technological scientific park. And he said we would propose to Prime Minister Ralph Gonsalves, who is the pro tempore president of CELAC, that St. Vincent and the Grenadines chair from Caracas a great CELAC scientific technological meeting with the 33 countries of Latin America and the Caribbean to create a great observatory, a great Latin American and Caribbean institute that articulates science, technology, and technology to every one of our countries. He goes on to say, we in Latin America have to develop the concept of open science and integration for the solutions of our problems. And we set an example for the world in the years to come. That Latin America and the Caribbean develop process engineering and architecture of institutions that allows for concrete solutions to key issues of agricultural, industrial development, industry, robotics, nanotechnology, health, education, etc. So that's the frame of what he's talking for this conference, this meeting, to develop this CARICOM and Caribbean Institute for Science, knowledge and technology. So I want to hear his more detailed proposals, at least a framework, a more detailed framework.
Yes.
In relation to CELAC, the Prime Minister said all the administrative arrangements are being put in place within the context of the Declaration of Buenos Aires.
All those are being elaborated, and lots of communication with different countries and areas on matters touching of the interface between CELAC and those countries, or those of entities. A lot of preparatory work is starting for the European Union CELAC summit on July 17th and 18th this year in Madrid, Spain. There has not been a formal engagement for about 4 years between CELAC and the European Union. So we need to set the frame for our relations over the next 2-3 years. Of course, these discussions are connected to but separate from the post-Cotonou arrangements between the African, Caribbean, and Pacific countries and the European Union. Today I'm sending off a letter to the African Union for the elaboration of our engagement.
PM Gonzalez also used the opportunity on radio today to extend solidarity and condolences to the governments and people of Turkey and Syria following the devastating earthquake which claimed the lives of thousands. The Prime Minister's delegation to Venezuela includes Coordinator for CELAC, Dr. Douglas Slater, Information Officer with the Agency for Public Information, Chevril Macmillan, and Security Gregory Lohman. They are expected to return to the state tomorrow. In other news now, we hear that with a focus on meeting the demand for the constant supply of dasheen for local, regional and international markets, the Ministry of Agriculture today hosted a dasheen consultation at the Methodist Church Hall. The consultation attracted over 200 participants, including farmers, traffickers, officials from the Ministry of Agriculture, the Food and Agriculture Organization, the FAO, and the Caribbean Agriculture Research and Development Institute, CADI. Addressing the opening ceremony, Chief Agriculture Officer Renato Gums said with the high demand and importance of dasheen to the agriculture sector, the ministry realized the importance of lifting its game on the production of dasheen.
We all recognize now that dasheen is playing a very significant role in the agriculture sector of Sierra Leone and the Grenadines. In fact, dasheen is the single most largely exported crop from this country. Dasheen is exported more than any other crop from this country. So we know how important it is to the agriculture sector. And the thing is, if we are looking to expand our production and take advantage of opportunities that exist out there, we have to lift our game. No longer could we just focus on packing dasheen in a bag and send it to some other country. I always tell people, you cannot brand a bag. You will have to put that in some better container, whether it be boxes or whatever, but you have to come up with a better way of handling the commodity.
Suggesting different ways of marketing dasheen, Gums said that it takes a scientific approach and a collaborative effort from the Vincentian dasheen market to meet the demand of regional and international markets.
Now, what we have to recognize also is that people are changing with time, in that we want to export more dasheen, but we have to be aware of who we are targeting. For example, there are housewives who don't really want to go through the hazard or trouble of peeling dasheen. They want the dasheen where they can just take it and put it in a pot and it's ready for them in a few minutes to eat. Because people are more taken up with doing other things with their time. So we have to study all these things if we are going out there to meet the demands of the market. One of the things we have to do is to take note of what all the different things are happening in the market. One simple thing, people don't recognize sometimes, for example, the EU constantly reduces its MRL level. And when I say MRL level, that is the maximum residual level of any pesticide that they will accept in the produce. And they do test them. So we have to have a scientific approach to what we are doing. And it takes an effort, a combined effort from all of us, the ministry, the input warehouse, the farmer, everyone, the marketer, to actually comply with these demands of the new market. And we have to make every effort to ensure that we comply with those demands at all times.
Senior Agriculture Officer Marcus Richards provided an overview of the aim of the Dashin consultation, noting that it seeks to address the issues of the production plan for Dashin.
And to ascertain the factors of consistency of supply which we would need to put in place. Today we would be given an overview of Dashin in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. We will hear marketing experiences from persons who have been in the business for a very long time. We will be introduced to the Windward Food Corridor and what is in store for St. Vincent and the Grenadines. We will be consolidating the inputs of farmers and all participants. Your contribution, therefore, to today's event is invaluable.
And Minister of Agriculture Saboto Caesar said the ministry will be embarking on a national drive on the production of Dashin across St. Vincent and the Grenadines. Minister Caesar said today's consultation is a conversation to shift the Dashin production in SVG along a greater path.
Concluded that conversation, and in our analysis as a ministry, we are going to embark on a national drive the likes you have never seen before in this country around the commodity of Dashin production. So that is why we are here. The army is mobilized, the farmers are ready, the government will be providing support. The task ahead is not going to be an easy one. I'm asking for honesty and hard work and diligence from the farmers. This started as an exhibition program by Donowa Jackson. It was a few months ago, approximately 2 months ago, we had a meeting. And in the meeting we said, just going on the TV and talking to people and going on the radio can't really encourage people. You have to go out in the fields.
The Agriculture Minister said with the demand for Dashin, the Ministry of Agriculture has come to the conclusion that Dashin will occupy the lion's share of its efforts going forward.
We have concluded already 12 meetings throughout the country. And after speaking to the farmers in the different meetings and hearing all the different issues and concerns, the roads, the predial larceny, the theft, fertilizer, prices, payments, damage to crops with little compensation, the issue of getting farm workers and workers not wanting to work and be there for the payment that they're receiving. Traffickers getting it harder to get the monies out of Trinidad and Tobago. Issues with trucking. And even though I mentioned roads before, I have to mention roads again, because roads are mentioned in every single meeting.
Former Rose Place fishermen who were relocated to Lomans Bay to ply their trade have put to good use their compensation package. As we hear in this report by Larissa Pugsley-Kidd, while some structures on the beachfront remain unfinished, the fishermen are still awaiting the installation of lights and toilet facilities in the area.
A road is now in place and at least 15 structures of the 32 allotted spots have been erected by the former Rose Place fishermen who now call themselves the Roseman fishermen. The road separates the Lomans Bay fishermen who have their structures to the front of the beach.
Each boat owner was given $18,200 in compensation. Each fisherman in the boat was supposed to get $700 each. So you see some build back boat because they can't afford. This is there was no really specific building code.
President of the National Fisherfolk Organization, Winsbert Harry. The fishermen relocated in August 2022, and many fishermen said they are trying to adjust. They now have running water. However, lights and washroom facilities, which were also promised, are yet to be installed.
I had them going by the rock and stool. They need something where they could stool like we was in town.
Harry says the lone pit latrine on site is most times locked.
This is a gentleman owned, and persons now have to either pay to use it, rent it, and then persons are now like they're heading up for the bushes, and some are heading for the rock, and some are heading for the beach to use it as a way of easing themselves. And I keep appealing and saying that I do not want Lomans Bay to come another Rose Place and make sure the standard moving from one should lift the game.
Getting to the Lomans Bay is about a 20 minutes walk from Camden Park, and these fishermen leave for sea from as early as 4 a.m. Many travel from Kingstown. Mark Anthony is one of those fishermen who says walking in the dark is risky, but he does it to ensure he gets a catch to make an income.
Because now we had to left from down, I have to left from Palover to come down here every morning at 3 to go to work. You know, so it's real difficult, and then most time when we come in late, how no light, the place just dark so fast. So we have a serious problem with the light. We would need some light down here, which they could, I wish the government could hear, and they could do something about that.
Meanwhile, Asbert Andrews, who has been fishing from Lomans Bay for 51 years, says they welcome the Rose Place fishermen and they're working to make the best of the facilities. Majority of his fellow Lomans fishermen do beachfront fishing, unlike the Rose Place fishermen who travel out miles to do deep-sea fishing, which has created a problem for the Lomans fishermen.
Sometimes they moor off them boat outside and leave the anchor. Sometimes they haul up them boat and the anchor still in the water. That is bad for our kind of fishing. But we fishing same fishing along with the same fishing in Denver. But we do mostly basic and the net same fishing. And if the man can't do it, sometimes we can't throw the net because too much anchor to take up the fish we do.
President of the NFO says some fisherfolk have reportedly given up on the fishing industry and others feel unappreciated.
We have some problems. A lot of people leaving the industry because the way that they are moving the industry, they're not moving it forward for the smaller people. They're moving it forward for the bigger folks. And then when you throw the smaller people, how will the industry go? Because a lot of people are surviving from small people to small people.
How much? 8-9 months now? In 9 months since we're down here? And I feel so saddened. That of the Minister of Agriculture and Fisheries, he never paid us a visit down here. We couldn't believe.
Larissa Pugsley Kidd, SVG TV News.
And Eldon Charles, a 35-year-old tradesman of Cedars who was in detention on inquiries pending the outcome of the investigation into the death of Altivia Bilenji, a 28-year-old caretaker of Chester Cottage, was arrested and charged with her murder. Bilenji succumbed to her injuries she sustained on Saturday, February 4, 2023 at Grenville Street, Kingstown. Charles appeared at the Serious Offences Court today for arraignment. He was not allowed to plead to the indictable offense. He was remanded in custody and is expected to return to court on April 17, 2023. Bilenji's death is the 5th homicide recorded for the year in SVG. The superintendent and staff at His Majesty's prisons are mourning the death of prison officer Ashkelon Henry of Pruvian Vale. His Majesty's Prisons say Officer Henry passed away suddenly on Monday, February 6, 2023 at his home. The superintendent and staff at His Majesty's Prisons extend condolences to his immediate family, relatives and friends. They say Officer Henry, who was appointed to the prison service on December 15, 2005, will be greatly missed. In the lead up to World Thinking Day 2023, the #1 Kingston Girl Guides Company hosted its annual inter-patrol debating and reading competitions at the St. Vincent Girls High School last Friday, February 3rd, 2023. The theme for this year's World Thinking Day activities is Our World, Our Peaceful Future, the Environment and Peace. In the debating competition, the statement for debate was global warming is a myth, and Girl Guides all over the world should focus less on climate change advocacy and campaigns for climate resilience. All contenders in the debating competition reportedly took an opposing view to the statement. Topping the charts for the competition was Orana Brewster of the Starfish Patrols, with Leah Nanton from the Dragonfly Patrol in second place and Annalise Map of the Daisy Patrol in third place. There were also 8 contenders in the reading competition. The passage centered on bringing balance to development with limits on deforestation. Cuba Francis of the Rose Patrol placed first, with Tyler Matthias of the Daisy Patrol placing second, and in third place Rain Jack of the Starfish Patrol. A news release from the Girls Guides Association says activities for World Thinking Day 2023 will build an understanding of the role climate change plays in disrupting global peace and security, and help members to learn from the environment to create a balanced and peaceful world.